We are live.
Live.
Here we
And
go.
Holistic United joined, and Julie and Jim and Emma and Eugene. So yeah, we're live. Dot dot dot
Um,
dot dot. Elaine, Queen Wood, James Williams. Oh, this is so wonderful. So wonderful. Welcome, welcome, you guys. I am here. Should I call you just Evie or should I call you A Evie? Should I call you A
Just
Evie
call me
May May?
Evie. Yeah, Evie is so my government name is Amber, and I don't go by Amber because for various reasons, but I just put that because it's kind of been my professional name is just Evie.
Okay. A
Yeah, but
Evie.
just call me Evie. It's fine. I don't need the AEV. That's just for documentation.
Well, and it's similar to me. Like people don't know my name's Michelle because I on here it's MS, and those are just my initials, MS Kohut. That's what became my handle. So yeah, so Michelle and Edie, right?
Yep.
Oh, we're getting hearts. Hi everybody. Toad said, "Hey, awesome people." Aw, you guys are awesome people. It's so great. Yeah, it's so great. So I'm just meeting Evie today, right now, for the first time. And it's just wonderful. It's wonderful to make the connection with, like-minded people,
Mhm.
and in a world where we need that more than ever,
Yeah.
new connections, to build community. So, yeah, it's great to meet you. It's great to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I like I said, before we went live and we were talking, I have been wanting to talk to Michelle for quite some time now. My calendar has just been so incredibly crazy, and my kids actually start school next week, so we've been trying to get school shopping and paperwork, and they're all school of choice kids, so, the paperwork is triple because of school of choice, so it's just been one thing after another, and then getting, well child visits because all of them needed vaccinations this year,
Yep.
and we had to hand in those records, and I was like, "Oh my god, the appointments and the paperwork and the schedule's been crazy," but I'm so glad that we were finally able to come together.
Me too. Me too. And it didn't take too long. It was only a couple weeks, really. It was only a couple weeks, and I did a live, I don't know, maybe last week, and you came on, and that was great, and then we connected after that, and here we are.
Yeah.
See, it just happens like that. It just happens like that.
And it's just a matter of somebody like, I guess making the first move and just kind of saying, "Hey, I wanna get together," and I'm glad that you reached out to me, and I just had never listened to you don't really go live that often, so when you finally went live, I was like, "Oh shit, she went live." I got in there. But yeah,
Good, I'm so
I'm
glad
glad
you
that you
did.
reached out to me, yeah.
I'm so glad you did. And, I was going live a little more often, and then I had a period of many months where I did not feel well, and doing anything extra than just working and the daily life, I really just couldn't do it. And, the last time I had gone live was so before last week when you saw me, it was in May, and it was so wonderful because I got to meet Jackie A,
She
who
is a
is
isn't she?
oh, wow. So, she's somebody that I started following and learning from, like, right when I came onto Substack, and that was about 1 year ago this month, I came to Substack, and, oh my goodness, I have met and followed amazing people, amazing writers, researchers, thinkers, critical thinkers,
Mhm.
activists, artists, and I find the community in Substack to be wonderful, and I know that there are issues, it's not perfect, but, I'm so grateful because if it wasn't for Substack, I would be losing my mind.
Yeah.
And, I've been close. Even with Substack, I've been close. But, I come to Substack and I just get grounded in people who, of course, like, think the same some of the same things as
Mhm.
me and understand what's going on and care and want to work together to build powerful coalitions and communities so that we can depose this fascist regime.
Yeah, 100%. I kinda did the same thing, and I quit my job 4 years ago. I worked in education, early education, and that was my career for my whole life. I just worked with kids, and then, 4 years ago, I saw the decline, and, it was out of my hands. There was nothing I could do individually to, make the situation better for myself, for my teachers, for the kids. I felt like I had my hands tied behind my back and my legs cut off. There was nothing. I was immobile. I was just stuck on this train and I and I had to just stay there and enjoy the ride or get off of it. So I chose to get off of it. And I decided to finish my memoir and I wrote a novel and they're not published yet. I'm still um, exploring avenues because the whole landscape has changed now. So I've got some people telling me, "Oh, you got to publish, self-publish, or you got to go do indie publishing, or you have to do this." And I don't know what to do. So I'm still kind of talking to people and weighing options. So I'm really hoping to have my memoir published at least.
Well, congratulations on writing a memoir.
And it took a long time. I mean, memoirs are not the kind of like, I thought, "Oh, I quit my job, I'm gonna write a book and it'll be done in a month." No, it wasn't like
Oh.
that at all. It actually took me, um, 7 years. I started it, I had, like, little excerpts that I was writing, things that I had in my, like, a diary that I had logged in my computer, and then I just took all of those thoughts and kind of started putting them into a book. And then I finished it and I gave it to my editor, and my editor chopped it up and gave it back to me. And then I went, "Oh my god, I have a lot more work to do." So then it took me a lot longer to finish it, rewrite everything and fix everything I needed to fix, and then I gave it back to my editor, and she chopped it all up again and gave it back to me, and yeah, I mean, the last time she did that, I looked at my manuscript and I just wanted to cry. I was like, "No, I thought I was done." But it's getting there now, so
Okay.
I'm on my last edit right now, and, I'm gonna fix it up, and then I'll be ready to publish, so hopefully that goes well, and then, my novel.
The point is that whenever you publish, wonderful,
Yeah,
but just doing it, the
yeah,
edits, the labor of love, that in and of itself is a huge accomplishment, and I'm
mm,
saying that because a lot of times we don't recognize an accomplishment unless there's some type of, I don't know, like, let's say public success or
right,
publishing, or I had an art show, and to
mhm.
me, because I don't think I could do that, to me, just doing the book, that's amazing. Well done. Well done, you
Yeah,
know?
and I did the book kind of as, almost like a narrative therapy because I've been no contact with my family and friends and everybody that I knew and loved and grew up with for 10 years now. I mean, I literally just picked up, moved 1,200 miles away, and I haven't talked to anybody since. So, writing that book was for me 100%. I mean, I really didn't write that book for anybody else. I did write it for me. But now going through, that's why I joined Substack, back in January because I wanted to start building community because I was like, maybe my story is other people's story. Maybe I'm not on an island by myself and maybe I could connect with people and, we can start sharing our stories. And it turns out that my story is actually incredibly common, and a lot of people have my story. And I was able to build so many good relationships here on Substack because of it. I can't wait to publish my book because I really do feel at this point, I did write it for me, but at this point, I feel like if my book saves a woman or a mother or somebody who can relate to it, um, then I feel like I've won. It's just one woman at a time I want to try and help. And the only way that we can help women and we can help bring people together and we can help get uh, women to figure out their traumas and to heal their traumas is if we keep bringing our stories together and we keep comparing notes and we keep saying, "Hey, that happened to you, that happened to me too. Well, how did that make you feel? Because this is how it made me feel. And don't you feel like you're going crazy? Because I felt like I was going crazy." And just having these conversations, it just makes us feel a little less alone in the world. And it could be the deciding factor whether or not a woman decides to take her life, or whether or not a woman decides to leave the abusive relationship, or whether or not a woman decides to make that career change. It's these stories are so important. So I
I
am
was
really
literally going to say it is life-saving.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
life-saving to have others that can understand.
yeah.
So, it takes people who are brave, and there's lots of types of bravery, but one type is sharing our stories, because then that helps other people know they're not alone, and
Mhm,
also maybe be that for the next person. And that is what you call someone's legacy.
mhm.
How they bring themselves into the world and impact it and
Yeah.
help others. That's what legacy is. So that's
And, you
pretty
don't
good.
think that you're that person. I never thought I was that person. I just thought I was this broken person and that I couldn't there's no way I could help other people because I'm so broken and I'm so, I'm sitting here on rock bottom. But the one thing about rock bottom, when I decided to walk away from everything and I felt like I had nothing and nobody and I was feeling sorry for myself and, I had zero self-love for myself and I just, was wallowing. When I was sitting there on rock bottom, there's only one place to go from there, and it's up. So I got to a point where I was sitting there and I was like, well, I could sit here and just waste away and be a lost cause and not fix anything or I could choose to heal all the traumas in my life. I'm a childhood rape survivor, so my trauma started at a very young age and they got worse as I got older. Um, but then I got to a point where I didn't have that environment anymore. And environment matters. When you're stuck in an environment that just keeps you questioning yourself and keeps you, hating yourself and keeps you in this comparison mode, we've got these mirror neurons that are in our brains and we're constantly comparing ourselves to people, places, and things. That's why I always tell my girls, when they're starting to feel certain ways about themselves, I'm like, well, why do you feel that way? And she's like, well, I was on TikTok and I saw this girl. I'm like, you're comparing yourself again, and you can't compare yourself. Like, you are a unique, beautiful person, and you have to figure out a way to love that unique, beautiful person. So, I think that once people start to get that self love, it opens up every single door that you could even imagine, and I went from not thinking anything like, I'm a nobody, and I'm always gonna be a nobody, and I'm never gonna be able to help people, even though that's all I've ever done my whole life is try to help people. I was always that person that I would give the shirt off my back even when I had nothing. So, but I didn't think that impacted anything because I wasn't in an environment that appreciated it, and I wasn't in an environment that reflected it back to me. So I felt like I was just pouring from an empty cup constantly. And now, I'm meeting people that are a lot like me and we're pouring into each other's cups and our cups are always full.
Mm,
Love it.
mm.
So community is so important and we need people like that in our lives. We need
Life-saving.
people like when you pour into their cup, they're pouring into your cup. I
That's
had a
right.
couple bad marriages and I'm married to my husband now. This is my 3rd marriage, and, my first 2, I learned a lot of really valuable lessons, especially about myself and the value and the boundaries that I have for myself. And my husband now, we're always pouring into each other's cups. We never look at each other like we're the enemies when things happen. I always kind of come at disagreements or, if I'm triggered by something, I always have to kind of take a deep breath and say, he's not the enemy. This is something that it's triggering inside of me. I need to recognize why that's triggering me. And now I need to go and pour into his cup and he's going to pour into my cup.
Mm.
Um, and it always feels like our buckets are just never empty. Like I don't, I was at a point in my life where I felt like I woke up just exhausted every day, just mentally exhausted with everything. And now it's such a different feeling when you finally figure out what you deserve and what you I, I don't know. That's that self-love. It all goes back to self-love is the best love, and once you start loving yourself, you realize that all these other people are the same as you and they're not going to be takers. There's the givers and the takers and
So
I
part of that self-love does come from that, a lot of it from the community, reflecting back, you're loved,
I
you're valuable, right? So it's like these 2 things go hand in hand. How people love us and care about us and show up for us helps us self-love because of those mirror neurons, right? Like
Mhm.
you were talking about. So finding community through, again, the courage to share your story, having that
Mhm.
reflected back, you know, the mutuality, the reciprocity, filling each other's cups, the community,
Mhm.
your partner. I mean, this is what we're made to do. This is how we are actually made to survive, human beings. We're not actually
Mhm.
made to be to hate each other, to
Or
be
to be alone.
to
I
be
mean, like,
alone,
nothing in nature
right?
survives by itself, so, we do need each other.
We do. We do.
Mhm.
But finding safe people, finding community, finding getting into situations where we are protected,
Right?
and having the ability to safely love ourselves and others. So I
Mhm.
don't know, maybe but I'm a trauma therapist.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that's and so a lot of what you were talking about and your healing and just this whole conversation is, very important to me and relevant, and I'm so, honored to know you, to know your story. I did read your articles. I know more about, your life, what you've been through, some of the things happening to you, I believe, like, during such a young age, pre-verbal. And,
Mhm.
I do know about some of these, things from a professional view.
Yeah.
Right? From a professional view and my experience with working with people with trauma. So, yeah, I just wanted
Mhm.
to let you know if you didn't know that.
No, I love that. I love that, what you do is such a selfless thing, and, like, my daughter right now, my older daughter, she's in New York right now going to school. She wants to be a psychiatrist. Is there a difference?
One, the psychiatrist gives the medicine, right? That gives the medicine, the psychiatrist. The
Psychiatrist.
psychologist is more, you can do like therapy with that. You can also do
Mhm.
like IQ testing,
Yeah.
forensics, different fields of
Well, that's what she
psychology.
wants to do with her life, and I always I admire that about her, and I admire that about you too, because, being able to take in all of those stories every single day and, um, I absorb them. I'm the kind of person where when somebody tells me a sad story, I will cry. I can't help myself, when somebody tells me something that has it's like my heart connects to their heart, and I admire people who can remove themselves to just listen and hear. That's actually something that my kids and I struggled with at first. Well, I struggled with my kids because, um, you know, because I had stayed in bad marriages, um, and I didn't have that self-love to get out of those marriages. I felt like I deserved the treatment that I was getting. Um, my kids got hurt from it as well. And even though I didn't mean or want for them to be hurt, and I did genuinely think that I was protecting them, in a lot of the instances, like when we would scream and fight, I would tell my kids, just go to your room. That wasn't protecting them. That was keeping them in the trauma. And I didn't realize it until after I got out of that marriage and, they became adults and we started talking. And, you know, I had to get to a point where I had to stop every single time they would tell me something bad that happened that I didn't know about.
Mhm.
I couldn't get over my guilt for how I didn't protect them because I genuinely thought I did. And then I realized I didn't protect them. And at the end of the day, they had a lot of animosity towards me for that. And I had to figure out how to accept that because I could have been the most loving mother in the world in my brain, but at the same time, they got hurt and it was my fault. So, I was the one that was supposed to protect them and I didn't protect them the way that they needed to be protected. So it took me a long time. And finally, my one kid, he just said, he's like, Mom, I don't want to tell you anything because every time I tell you something, you fucking cry. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, I gotta quit crying, I guess. I gotta figure out how to remove my own emotions and really sit down and listen to you. And that was really hard for me to do. So the fact that you do this day in and day out with people with these horrific trauma stories, hat off to you, milady. Because that has got to be like, how do you handle that when you come home? How are you able to, like my sons would tell me things, Michelle, and it would wreck me for days. It would just live rent free in my head for days of the things that they went through. How do you remove yourself from that when you come home to your family after hearing horrific things from
Well,
other
you know
people?
what? It's funny you should say that because over many years, I didn't do a good job of that. And what would happen is I would come home from work and I would be kind of preoccupied internally and not
Mhm,
really present for my child. I have a lot of regrets too, I always wanted to help people. I was always good at it. I enjoyed it. I was always very connected with my clients and I would do groups and individual and family therapy but it overtook my life.
mhm,
And it wasn't because it was just because I care.
mhm,
And so like then at the end of the day, you would be thinking about, "Oh, well, what can I do to help this person or what do I need to follow up on it?" It wasn't like
mhm,
some negative thoughts per se. It was more like when people work full time, basically, because this is something
mhm,
else I noticed. When people work full time, a lot of times outside of work, they're very preoccupied with their work. And I
mhm,
remember my dad was that way.
mhm,
And so that was me. And so now I can do it, Evie, because I have a private practice. I work for myself, and then I'm not dealing with unethical administrators and institutional patriarchy and
yeah,
classism and white supremacy, like those systems were what was hardest on me. That's where my empathy became problematic for me because what would happen is I would try to change the system
yeah,
and then I would get in trouble.
mhm, mhm,
Like people would like my work up until a point because I was good at working. By the way, I was like working with kids too, child and family therapist. I was good at working with them, but then when I saw the systemic things that were problematic in the program or the organization that would help those same families that they were
mhm,
really proud of me for working with so well, nobody was willing to change.
yeah,
Right. And so I had to do things sometimes that were you're supposed to do, they're ethical to do, like
mhm,
make reports on things, right? Or, like to speak up about problems.
right,
Basically, the basic shit that I learned, I'm a social worker. It's part of our code of ethics, right? Like,
mhm,
but also what my parents taught me, like you do the right thing, and so there was so many unethical, literally things going on all over these programs for young people, most of them who were, of course, not from families who had wealth. So there wasn't any family member advocating for them.
right,
So then, as the social worker, like I would be the advocate. And then every time. Every time I worked somewhere, eventually it would get to a point where there would be one of these key issues of disagreement where I was very passionate about, like, this is harming, and,
Mhm.
somehow I always ended up getting laid off, furloughed, fired, maybe
Yeah.
I resigned once, but no,
Yeah,
no.
how dare you step outside that box. Yeah. I always say, the United States, we are a country that was birthed from white supremacy. I mean, every single system we have in this country, whether it's healthcare, personal relationships, professional relationships, child, education, women's right, like everything, it's all in a white supremacist system. And I outwardly reject it. I mean, I reject white supremacy I don't know, I it's like oil and water to me. Every single time somebody tries to stuff me in that box, I'm clawing my way out, and I'm like, "No, you're not gonna do that to me." And this is why, I guess, from what I understand here on Substack, that's kind of the reputation I've built for myself. Because I just don't, I'm not gonna participate in systems that harm. And it's not even about me, it's just about harmful, um, behaviors, whether it's, harmful to the future, like the whole dismantling of education, like this is our future. These are our kids. These are the people that are gonna go on after we ain't even here. Like we don't once we're dead, we don't have a stake in anything. Like why are we hurting our children? Why are we hurting our
That
kids?
goes back to the whole idea of legacy.
Yeah.
And, speaking of that, because before we got on, and we have like 15 more minutes, before we got on, we were talking about things we might, want to talk about. And one of the things we were talking about is like, we kind of got through this primary season and what can we do now?
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to kind of bring up is this idea that some of my content is about how I don't actually trust either of these two parties
Mhm.
to help us. So, in that case, what do we do together in community to survive and thrive possible during this authoritarian state that we are living in? And
Mhm.
so I think about the ways we will have to, whether it's should or the way it should be, have to work outside of the educational system because the education it's captured the
Mhm.
educational system.
Yeah.
All of the parts of our world that seemingly were more predictable have been captured by the right wing. So it doesn't matter what we want or what we fight for, like it's happening right now. So we have to educate the youth outside of school,
Yeah.
right? One of the things we also brought up was media. See, we have to work outside of mainstream media because mainstream media not only isn't it's killing us. It's not helping us, it's killing us because
Yeah.
it's giving people the wrong information. It's promoting Zionistic,
Mhm.
decisions as normal. I mean, right? So,
Even as simple as, like, headlines, there's a lot of people out there that they don't really read the article, they don't really listen to the broadcast, they just read the headline and then make their own interpretations based off that headline. But
good point.
the big media has learned that you can take a headline and you can influence people just by a headline.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So the manipulation, the narrative storytelling of media, we have to work outside of it
Mhm.
anyway, no matter what. We have to work outside of corporate profit because we can't afford it. So, like, I've been shopping at Goodwill
Mhm.
because that's a way that we can not participate potentially in going to stores or buying from Amazon.
Mhm.
We have to think about ways to work outside of what we've always known. We have to barter and trade,
Mhm.
reuse, recycle. I mean, we like to do these things anyway, but now it's like now it is the way. It's
Yeah.
not just like, "Oh, it's fun. Like, let's have a
Mhm.
trunk swap." Like, it's like, "No, this is how we need to choose to live." Right? Because no matter what, like, these systems we're in right now, these white supremacist systems, like, they're not going anywhere quickly. They
Mhm.
are systems. They are institutionalized,
Mhm. The
right?
only
And you
way we
can
can
no
survive too is if we continue upholding them. We have to walk away from them. And that's why, when people get critical and they're saying, "Oh, Edie, you're being really divisive and you're breaking, like I'm not going to be part of breaking up the Democratic Party." And it's like, "Well, you know what? I am. I am." And it
sign me up.
like maybe I am
Sign
being
me up.
divisive, but
Destroy that shit.
yeah, maybe
Fuck
I am
out of
being
here.
divisive, but the moment calls for it right now because right now corporations are fucking killing us. The Republicans are fucking killing us. Like, we've got women bleeding out in parking lots here in Texas because we can't get the health care. I've been literally telling people, "Don't have sex with your with if you can still if you're of childbearing age and you can still get pregnant, you need to stop having sex because, just in case you get pregnant." And pregnancy, the only way, pregnancy is very dangerous for a woman. Anything could happen. You could have an ectopic pregnancy. You could have a miscarriage. Like I had a miscarriage when I was 20 years old and was sent home, said, well, you're going to have some cramping and everything, but if the bleeding gets worse or if you start to hemorrhage, then you need to come back in so we can do a DNC, which is abortion care. I ended up hemorrhaging. I needed to have a DNC. Women can't get that anymore, especially if there's still a heartbeat.
It's so fucking devastating. I
It
get
is
so enraged about
absolutely
this.
devastating.
And Texas was like the first one to really fucking do it and put bounties on people's heads.
Oh,
I
they
heard
put
there was
stop
fucking
cameras
clock
to
cameras.
yeah, it's
This
crazy.
is this is full on authoritarianism, Evie. This
100%.
isn't like oh, the 2026 election's gonna change anything. We are living in a deep authoritarian state, and especially the red states. They have been
Mhm,
living, you guys have been living this way. It's not just this year, it's not just since he
mhm.
came in. People's rights have been restricted in these states since
Yeah,
people could vote because they are run by white supremacists,
and not all
right?
people it's like white people are just now starting to, feel how Black people and brown people have been feeling forever in this state. It's always been suppression for them, and now white people are starting to feel it too, and now all of a sudden it's a problem? This has
Great
been going on
point.
forever,
That's a great
and
point.
yeah,
That's
it's
right.
been going
It's
on
this
forever.
idea that people, and I'm gonna say people have been socially conditioned because this is not how human beings are born, but people have been socially conditioned to essentially wait until it happens to them
Mhm,
to give a shit. And
mhm,
this is because the way our country was founded, the sheer violence and devastation of the way that our nation was founded is directly related to where we are right now. This has not really ever been a country where the people had power. As
mhm.
people were given power, it has been snatched away ferociously and probably no more obviously than right now, where like the Supreme Court is just tossing precedent of the
Yep,
most important civil rights that we have. And they like to throw us
exactly.
a little bone once in a while, like on birthright citizenship, just throw us a little
Mhm,
bone to make some people think that somehow that they'll help us when actually no, those justices were installed to bring Christian nationalist fascism to this country. They have done it. It is a judicial coup. It
mhm,
was, our country has been owned by the wealthy forever, and they have now captured the courts, captured the political parties,
mhm.
and captured our elections.
Yep,
So when I think about like what do we do between now, like what we should always be doing from now on, organizing our communities, setting up networks of mutual support, like getting to
yep.
know new people, connecting with people from other states. We're going to need an underground railroad. We should already have them for people to get abortion care, right?
Oh, yeah,
We
the
need
infrastructure is there already. 'Cause
exactly.
these things are not new. Like, Black
That's
people and
right.
brown people have been dealing with this forever. Like, the infrastructure is already there. It's just that now all of a sudden it's happening to white people, so white people are like, "Well," you know?
Exactly.
But it's like, our country was it literally was birthed from white supremacy, and white supremacy did genocide on the Native Americans. The Nazis in Germany took notes from what we did to
Yes.
do the Holocaust.
Yes, that's
Like,
correct.
the United
Yep.
States, I mean, I say we go back to Turtle Island. I'm kind of tired of saying the United like, the every single time somebody says, "Are you American? Are you from the United States?" I'm, like, hesitant now. Fuck, yes, I am.
It's you can't be proud to be
It's
an
really hard
American.
to be yeah, it really is, especially because, when you grow up, like I'm 44 years old, and the last 15-ish years, not my whole life, the last 10 to well, more like 15 years, um, I had this realization how brainwashed I was and how, whitewashed my education was and how I had to go above and beyond to find out the truth because I have such an insane curiosity in my brain, it's kind of annoying. But I have if my gut is telling me something's not right here, I will dig in that ass until I find the answer. And I
Well,
was just
that's a great point because you talked about your intuition just there.
Mhm.
And that is a type of intelligence that we have not been encouraged to
Right.
develop because we have a lot of intuition about people that are harmful to us. And so
Mhm.
we've had all of these religious people, authoritarian type people telling us to ignore
Yep.
our gut feeling and love everybody,
Yeah, it's not
right?
like
And
you
just
Yeah.
trust. Like,
Mhm.
no. Right. So we women especially, we have to tune in to these bodily sensations, which
Mhm.
are wisdom. You might not know exactly what that gut is telling you, but it's telling you something.
I always
So
tell
you're
people
talking about that
remember.
and then digging in and figuring out what the hell's going on. My gut tells me and it's 100% something.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always tell people, I'm like, your brain and your gut are always, the brain is gonna try to override. The programming is always gonna try to override. It's programming. Your brain is just
That's right.
programming. Your gut is there to keep the programming in check. So if, the body remembers, and if you are all of a sudden feeling like your gut screaming at you and you probably shouldn't don't do it. Your gut is always right. Your gut is built for survival.
It's
It's
literally there for
always
survival.
you do that. Yeah.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we have like 5 more minutes. Um, Teaching our kids how to tune in is one of the
Mhm.
most essential parts now of us educating the next generation because once again, our children have been conditioned in
Mhm.
this world as well. And they're going to school and being told to be nice to somebody who's harming them. Let's just say, for example, because, right,
Mhm.
children are told in multiple settings to essentially like not trust their gut and like just give them a try,
Mhm.
like, right? Like, we need to teach our kids
Yep.
now more than ever how to tune in to our intuition, our common sense. If something doesn't make sense, go with that. It's something's wrong there, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're even being told to question things. Well, obviously, we're being told to question what we see with our own eyes and hear with our ears, like
Mhm.
that the insurrection was somehow not
Right.
treason
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like we're being manipulated. So teaching our kids how to register those bodily sensations like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, my stomach just jumped." Or,
Yeah.
"Oh," another one, when the right? You get that feeling on the back of your
Mhm.
neck or you get hot or like those things are actually a really important part of helping protect our children from the pedophiles, one, and
Mhm.
also for the rest of their lives going into this very dangerous world, sadly, that they have in front of them.
Yeah, you're
Preparing them
absolutely
for reality, to me, that's just so important,
Mhm.
even though the reality is grim, to really prepare our kids for it and not live in some fantasy land.
Yep, and it's another reason why we have to get our kids off of screens. I mean, I get it. Like we just had to have a talk with our 17-year-old daughter today because she is starting to kind of bed rot, and she's the tail end of summer now, and school's getting ready to go in, but she's starting to bed rot. And every single time she does that, she's just doom scrolling. we can see the change in her. We can see the change in just how she speaks, how she's behaving, how she's carrying herself, whether or not she's doing self-care and things like that. And these algorithms are killing our kids. It's killing their drive. They don't even really know how to be creative anymore. There was just a study that came out the other day, and they said 1 in 9 kids that graduated from high school that are going into college read at a 6th grade level. This summer, my kids, we gave them mandatory book time. I said, these are your books, and I wanna know about them. My 12-year-old just read The Alchemist, and he gave me a whole synopsis of everything in that book, and, but when it comes to the older ones, the teenagers that have these devices, we really, as parents, we have to tune into them, and this is where our gut comes in. Like mothers know. Mothers know. We know when there's something wrong with our kids. And we have to act on it. We can't just like, oh, well, it's just normal hormonal teenage stuff. No, it's not. We have to act on it. We have to get these kids away from screens because it really
Well,
is.
that's a great example because see so much going growing up, for example, so I'm like almost 10 years older than you. We were literally told to ignore like signs of physical illness,
Yeah. Yeah.
or like they weren't that big of a deal, or get
Mhm.
over it, or like you're still going to school, like,
Yep.
so yeah, it's a lot of uh work we have to do to essentially, decondition ourselves
Yep.
and make sure that our kids can accurately read what's going on around them and their intuition and their gut feeling and their moral judgments and what they think is right and what they feel is right, that is how they will navigate this world ahead, and that the educational system certainly ain't going to be it. You know what I
You
mean?
have to be bored. Boredom is where creativity, where imagination lives. Boredom is where magic happens. And it might take a week or 2, but eventually it'll happen. So let your kids be fucking bored. If there's one thing I want to tell parents is it's okay to let your kids be bored. That is where the
Oh,
magic
it's
happens.
fantastic for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic for them. um Talk a lot about the the impact that it's had on my child too, but we don't have time, but we should come back again soon,
100%.
right? And keep
Yeah.
continuing this connection, these conversations. I love learning about you today. I'm so inspired by your work. Everybody should follow you, read your work, support you, and yeah, let's keep our connection.
Absolutely. I will be reaching out to you and we'll get something scheduled. Thank you for having me
Sounds
on.
great.
Really appreciate.
Yeah, and thank you everyone who joined. I didn't get to read all your comments, but I was looking at the conversation, some interesting ones. But thank you for joining us, and so grateful for everybody in this community.
All right. Awesome.
All
Thank
right,
you.
see you.
Bye.
Bye bye.